What would happen if I told you that one of the most intimate and common acts of the human being, far from being a simple physical exhaustion, hides a secret key capable of opening portals of power, wisdom, and plenitude that few imagine? And what if you discovered that an energy that many waste daily could, if it is consciously dominated, become the most powerful source of vitality, mental clarity, and personal magnetism? Since time immemorial, the great esoteric and alchemical traditions have spoken of sexual energy as the most powerful elixir of existence. It is not only the force that gives rise to biological life, it is also the fuel that builds the organs, renews the brain, and maintains the flow of vitality in each cell of the body. The wise men of Tao knew it well. Whoever dominates his seed dominates his destiny. In modern society, masturbation has been trivialized, turned into an automatic act, and many times compulsive, empty of consciousness and lacking in purpose. But what no one usually tells you is that there is a sacred and alchemical way of masturbating, not for the mere exhaustion, but to cultivate, refine, and return that energy to the body and spirit, generating an expansion that impacts all areas of life. This knowledge was carefully guarded by Taoist masters and practitioners of the inner arts, such as Montauk Chia and the guardians of the sexual Qigong. They taught that the key is not in repressing or abandoning sexual energy, but in learning to control it, transform it, and redirect it. Because whoever manages to dominate this vital current accesses an inexhaustible source of personal power, physical rejuvenation, mental lucidity, social magnetism, elevated intuition, and even material prosperity. Below, I will reveal to you what for centuries was considered a knowledge reserved for beginners. We will explore how ancient cultures conceived conscious masturbation. You will learn the fundamental principles of retention and return of sexual energy, and you will understand why the proper management of your sexual energy can make you an all-powerful being, owner of your body, your mind, and your reality. Get ready to enter one of the best-kept secrets of practical esotericism. Because when you understand how to manage the energy that gives life, you can create any reality you imagine. It is not exaggeration. It is sacred biology. It is inner alchemy. It is pure power waiting to be awakened. What you are about to learn is not one more technique. It is a path of integral transformation where pleasure becomes power, impulse becomes clarity, and the physical is elevated to the spiritual. Welcome to the lost art of sexual mastery. The journey to your energy sovereignty begins now. To understand why sexual energy is considered one of the most powerful and sacred forces of the human being, we must delve into the tissue of ancient civilizations, where the wise did not separate the body from the mind or the physical from the spiritual. In those cultures, the management of sexual energy was seen as an alchemical art, a sacred science capable of transforming the entire life of whoever knew how to cultivate it with discipline and consciousness. In ancient China, Taoist masters observed that the sexual seed, known as yin, was not simply a biological fluid, but the most concentrated form of vital energy. They taught that each drop of semen or sexual fluid contained the very essence of life, a condensation of energy that, if lost in excess, weakened the body, marched the organs, and decreased longevity. But if it was preserved, it refined and recirculated into the interior, nourished the brain, strengthened the spinal cord, rejuvenated the organs, and expanded consciousness. For this reason, practices such as the art of seminal retention and the microcosmic circuit emerged, where sexual energy moved consciously from the sexual center to the spine and crown, raising the vibratory state of the practitioner. Taoists argued that true immortality was not the denial of pleasure, but the transmutation of desire into vitality, clarity, and longevity. In Vedic India, Tantra taught similar principles. Through tantric scriptures, it was revealed that sexual energy, known as Shakti, was the most powerful manifestation of cosmic energy. Through techniques such as Maithuna, conscious union, and bandhas, energetic closes, the practitioners learned to raise sexual energy through the chakras, awakening the kundalini, the inner fire serpent that, when ascending, led to the state of illumination and union with the divine. But even outside Asia, we find traces of this knowledge. Medieval alchemists spoke of the union of sulfur and mercury, symbols of the masculine and feminine principle, which, when integrated into the practitioner's energetic body, generated the famous philosopher's stone, a symbol of the total transmutation of being. These alchemists not only sought to transform metals into gold, but to transform themselves, raising their vibration through the integration and sublimation of the internal sexual forces. Even in Egypt, the schools of mystery taught that the secret of longevity and spiritual expansion resided in the conservation of the vital essence. The priests of Isis and Osiris practiced rituals where the energy generated in sexual union was directed to the upper centers, creating such a strong magnetic field that it allowed to connect with the celestial spheres and download superior knowledge. The common thread in all these cultures is clear. Sexual energy was not seen as something that had to be denied or repressed, nor as a mere pleasant game. It was a sacred energy, an evolutionary tool whose misuse led to dispersion, fatigue, and loss of power, but whose conscious use granted vigor, magnetism, clarity, and spiritual expansion. Today, in modernity, we have forgotten this art. Masturbation, stripped of its sacred character, has become for many an automatic and compulsive act that disperses this precious energy. But ancient teachings resurface, reminding us that we can claim this wisdom and apply it in our daily life, because whoever learns to control this force becomes, literally, the alchemist of his own destiny. In the next section, we will explore how this energy process works at a practical and bioenergy level, and how you yourself can begin to cultivate this ancestral power. To understand how the conscious use of sexual energy can transform the body, mind, and spirit, we must first visualize how this energy flows within us. Imagine your body as an ancient dynamo or energy generator, a subtle machinery capable of producing large amounts of vital electricity. Sexual energy in this scheme is the densest and most powerful fuel, but also the most delicate. If it is spent uncontrollably, the dynamo overheats, wears out, and finally loses its ability to produce force. But if it is managed wisely, that energy can feed the entire system, enhancing physical, mental, and spiritual capacities. According to Taoist and Tantric teachings, sexual energy is born in the lower centers, specifically in the area of the lower Tantien, lower abdomen, or root chakra. This energy, called Jing in China or Ojas in India, is the raw material with which the body is built and life is sustained. It is no coincidence that the body invests large amounts of resources in the production of semen and sexual fluids. These contain vitamins, minerals, amino acids, hormones, and enzymes that feed all the systems of the body. When a person masturbates unconsciously and frequently, this energy is lost in each ejaculation or release, which generates fatigue, loss of concentration, discouragement, and even long-term physical weakness. The ancient masters observed this and therefore taught the practice of energy retention and recirculation. In simple terms, it is not about repressing desire, but about learning to direct the energy generated by excitation to other centers of the body. How does this work? Through specific techniques such as the contraction of the perineum, PC muscle, ascending breathing, and conscious visualization, The practitioner learns to move the energy from the genitals to the spine, the abdomen, the heart, the throat, and finally to the crown. This process is known in Taoism as the microcosmic circuit and in Tantra as the ascension of the Kundalini. The effect is surprising. Instead of losing energy, the body is revitalized, the mind is cleared, the emotions are balanced, and a feeling of fullness arises that transcends physical pleasure. A clear analogy is that of a pressure thermostat. When sexual energy accumulates in the genitals without direction, the pressure increases until it is released explosively. Ejaculation. But if instead of releasing, we open channels to the rest of the body, the pressure is distributed, nourishing and energizing each part of our being. This process not only avoids wear and tear, but also increases sensitivity, vitality, and personal magnetism. In addition, sexual energy is highly electromagnetic. When it recirculates, it strengthens the auric field, which explains why people who practice these techniques usually radiate a magnetic presence, natural confidence, and charisma. Their energy does not escape. It concentrates, refines, and expands. Another fascinating aspect is the connection with the mind and creativity. The ancients knew that sexual energy is not only physical, it is also the basis of creativity, intuition, and the ability to manifest. When it rises to the upper centers, especially the heart and the pineal gland, it enhances mental clarity, inspiration, and spiritual connection. Hence, many creative and mystical geniuses practiced energetic sublimation to enhance their intellect and skills. In short, the key is not in denial, but in control and conscious direction. Learning to handle this energy makes the act of masturbation, usually seen as banal or even sinful, an internal alchemy practice, where the body becomes a temple, and each pulse of energy is a step towards the expansion of your power. In the next section, we will delve even more into the nuances and advanced techniques to refine this art, exploring how to achieve balance, avoid excesses, and achieve total mastery over this sacred force. So far, we have understood that sexual energy, when it is preserved and recirculated, not only nourishes the physical body, but also strengthens the mind, expands consciousness, and magnifies our energy field. But to achieve true mastery, it is not enough to know the energy flow. It is necessary to integrate nuances, advanced techniques, and a philosophy of balance and consciousness. The first fundamental nuance is the difference between repression and transmutation. Many, upon hearing about the retention of energy, fall into the error of repressing or denying their sexual impulse, which generates tensions, blockages, and, in the long run, emotional imbalances. Repression is a forced and rigid containment that does not allow energy to flow. Transmutation, on the other hand, is a conscious and fluid process where energy is not denied but redirected to higher ends. Here comes the esoteric concept of the rising water. Imagine that sexual energy is like steam in a pot. If you hermetically cover the pot, repression will eventually explode. But if you install an adequate valve, transmutation, steam rises and moves turbines that generate electricity. This is how recirculation works. We move energy through the body, avoiding accumulations or leaks. To achieve this, the wise Taoists taught practices such as inner smile, a technique where, through soft breathing and visualization, energy is directed to vital organs such as the heart, liver, or kidneys. This practice not only nourishes the organs, but also transforms sexual energy into elevated emotions such as gratitude, compassion, or serene joy. Another key aspect is frequency regulation. It is not about never releasing sexual energy, but about finding a personal and conscious balance. The Taoists suggested that, depending on age, physical constitution, and state of health, the frequency of ejaculation should be regulated. For example, a healthy young man could allow occasional liberation without harm, while an older adult or an advanced practitioner would seek to retain and recirculate with greater constancy. A guiding principle is that of post-actual vitality. If, after masturbation, you feel weakened, empty, or mentally clouded, it is a sign that you have lost too much energy. If, on the other hand, you feel renewed, serene, and vital, it means that you have managed to retain and recirculate properly. The goal is not total abstinence, but refined self-awareness. The intention when practicing is also essential. If masturbation is done from compulsion or obsessive fantasy, the energy is dispersed and fragmented. But if it is practiced with full attention, deep breathing, visualization of energy ascending, and an intention of inner cultivation, the result is completely different. What used to be an empty act becomes a ceremony of self-mastery. An advanced technique is the contraction of the PC muscle, the coccygeal pubic muscle, which acts as an energetic pump. By gently contracting this muscle during excitation without reaching the climax, ejaculation is avoided and energy is pushed up through the spine. Combined with ascending breathing and the visualization of a light rising through the spine to the crown, this exercise refines the yin, sexual essence, en-qi, vital energy, and later en-shen, spiritual energy, according to Taoist alchemy. Finally, it is vital to remember that the cultivation of sexual energy is not an end in itself, but a means to strengthen the entire energetic system. As it recirculates and sublimates, the organs become stronger, the mind becomes clearer, and the intuition expands. Finally, the practitioner experiences greater creativity, emotional balance, social magnetism, and spiritual connection without the need for external stimuli. The ancient Taoist adage sums up this art. Keep your essence, refine your breath, expand your spirit. This is the way of the sexual alchemist who transforms the ephemeral desire into eternal power. In the next section, I will share practical and applicable advice so that you can start from today this path of mastery and energetic self-cultivation. Now that we have explored the fundamental principles of the conscious management of sexual energy, it is time to bring this wisdom to daily life in a simple, practical, and profound way. Because the true alchemist not only knows the laws of the universe, he applies them in every breath, in every act, and in every thought. Next, I share with you 4 essential practices, tested by millennia in esoteric traditions, that will allow you to start, or perfect, the conscious cultivation of your sexual energy. 1. Breathe. Do not rush. When the excitement arises, either naturally or during self-exploration, do not run towards the climax. Breathe deeply and slowly. Inhale through the nose, visualizing how the energy ascends from the base of the spine to the abdomen or heart. Exhale through the mouth, releasing tensions. This breathing not only calms you down but also redistributes sexual energy throughout the body, avoiding accumulation in the genitals. Breathing is your best ally to transform pleasure into vitality. 2. Contract the root muscle. Consciously activate the pubic oxygen muscle, the same one you use to stop urine. Perform soft and sustained contractions during the moments of excitement, without forcing or tensing excessively. This action pushes the energy upwards, facilitating recirculation and avoiding unnecessary loss. Practicing this daily, even outside the sexual context, strengthens your energetic base. 3. clear intention and high visualization. Before any practice, sow a high intention. Health, clarity, creativity, or spiritual expansion. During the excitement, visualize a golden or white light ascending through your spine, reaching the heart or crown. This visualization guides the energy towards the upper centers, refining its vibration and enhancing its effect in your daily life. 4. Inner balance and listening. Do not get obsessed with absolute retention or impose rigid rules. Listen to your body. If you feel excess tension or discomfort, allow a conscious release without guilt or compulsion. The key is to find your own rhythm, always making sure you feel revitalized, not exhausted. 5. Quality over quantity. A practice carried out consciously is worth more than any number. By applying these 4 keys with patience and constancy, you will notice subtle but profound changes, greater physical energy, mental clarity, emotional stability, personal magnetism, and a serenity that permeates all your actions. 6. The well-channeled sexual energy manifests itself in all areas of your life, not only in the intimate plane. Remember, the body is the alchemist's laboratory, and every conscious act is a distillation of power. Do not seek immediate results. This path is an ascending spiral that, over time, will reveal capacities and perceptions that used to seem impossible. Throughout this journey, we have revealed a knowledge that has remained hidden for centuries, guarded by sages, alchemists, and teachers of the ancient schools of mystery. We have understood that sexual energy is not a simple physiological impulse, nor a merely recreational act. It is a sacred force, a vital current capable of transforming our body, our mind, and our soul. We have learned that when this energy is wasted unconsciously and compulsively, the price is high. Loss of vitality, mental fatigue, emotional dispersion, and a life disconnected from its true source of power. But when we cultivate this energy with consciousness, attention, and discipline, what arises is an inner alchemy that rejuvenates, clarifies, and expands each aspect of our existence. Today, you are in a crossroads. You can follow the common path, where energy escapes like water between your fingers, or you can choose the path of the inner teacher, the one who does not deny his impulse but raises it, the one who does not repress his desire but transfigures it in creative force. Always remember this deep truth. The power you seek outside already inhabits you, latent in each cell, in each breath, in each pulse of your being. What we have explored is not a simple technique. It is a path of energetic sovereignty, an invitation to become the absolute sovereign of your own temple. When you dominate your sexual energy, you dominate your mind. When you dominate your mind, you govern your reality. And when you govern your reality, you become the architect conscious of your destiny. This knowledge is not to be admired from a distance. It is to be lived, incarnated, and experienced. And the journey does not end here. This is just the first threshold towards a life where your body is a sacred laboratory. Your energy is a refined treasure, and your spirit is a lit lighthouse. If this message has resonated with you, share this wisdom, expand this energy, and allow others to also remember their forgotten power. Subscribe to this channel, activate the bell, and like this video so that together we can continue exploring the teachings that, for time immemorial, have guided the seekers of balance, mastery, and transcendent truth. Stay tuned for the next videos, where we will continue to reveal the mysteries of inner alchemy, esoteric techniques, and spiritual expansion. Because this path is infinite, and every step you take inward opens unlimited universes outward, May the strength of your refined energy, the clarity of your mind, and the expansion of your spirit be the torch that illuminates your path. See you in the next video.